Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, right before I'm about to click the go live button, I'm this close to making it on time for the live reaction. Meta jumps down right to the expected move. The magic little line that we drew on Sunday. You might think it's a coincidence, maybe not. Anyway, blasting through zones. So we're gonna bring on our usual AI guy, the guy in the space. So let me switch it up. Oh, what do you think about that? What do you think about
Hey,
Meta's?
what's up?
You see Meta's reaction so far?
I did. It's not looking great.
Are you kidding me? It's looking phenomenal.
I mean, I love it because I actually want to get in on some, but I mean that's a big drop, 9%.
This better be when it finally kicks up to your number one position. Okay, let's be honest. If I don't see Meta at your number one, you're fired. Meta to 600, Vinay says. Oh yeah, probably much higher. With the stuff they have in the pipeline, absolutely insane. Alex says over a 10% drop. Big deal. Let's talk about the gap fill. Is that going to be a thing? Yeah. So breaking this zone. Now we have to talk about the gap fill. So you buying at looks like that gap fill would put it right at the $400 mark, $395. Would you wait for the gap fill? Would you wait for the yellow zone down here at 370? Or what are you thinking on that one?
No, I actually put an order in for 425
Mm-hmm.
as just an initial buy, and that way at least I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it drops further, then I will continue to add more.
Nice. You guys are all beating me on my buy price. Lori bought some at 442. You're gonna buy some at 425. Technically, I bought some at 465. If this move holds, I sold the 490 put for this week, but I collected $25 per share. So 465 would be my average cost on this.
What do you think it actually gets down to the 425? That was actually a question I had for you.
We'll have to see after this earnings. I mean, the gap fill thing is a thing, and you'll see the problem with that is institutions probably aren't playing the gap fill. That's the thing. Like a lot of retail, maybe some smaller firms might try to play just because they know. Ultimately, if you're looking at buyers and sellers, there's going to be a lot of sellers and shorts looking for that. There's going to be a take profit, a buy down here, so you can jump in and play that game. I mean, it puts it on the table once we're in here. But if this earnings just gets snapped back up and it holds this 460 zone, then I think what you'll call that is a failed gap fill. Even though they all must fill, that's the failed version, and then it sends it up.
Yeah, I'm watching it. It's I'm not sure what it's trying to do. It's just hanging out right there at that 440 area.
Hanging out at this weird line we drew on Sunday. It's awkward.
Imagine that.
Right now, yeah, I know. What a weird coincidence. Now, I got to say this because this is asked all the time. Hey, it blew through those yellow zones. Do they mean anything? And through earnings, yeah, no. Good luck when it comes to earnings. There's a clear catalyst like this. Sometimes I'll have limit buys just in place, and if I didn't already have a put sold, my limit buy would have filled right here. I probably would have put it at 455, just to try to catch that. Gosh, I got to be honest. I hate saying this because I think a lot of YouTubers do it when they make a bad call. You're like, oh, I hope it gets this level. Like, oh, you just hope your money goes down. Like, oh, good, sure, I believe that. But after the things we're seeing, and we haven't made a video about this yet, as far as like AI goes on Meta. Maybe we can touch on it right now. Some of the things you said the other day, if Meta announces this, there's some things that they're playing with behind the scenes and they get into maybe medical devices or anything like that, that basically just comes out and rips the legs out of the chairs of Apple.
Absolutely. If they come out, and it seems like that's where they're headed, but if they come out with medical devices, not just the mind reading thing that they were talking about, but I mean, that blows that door right open from a a profitability for them.
Yeah, because
Like
right now they're trying to
gonna be
decode
crazy.
they're trying to decode what the brain is seeing. They're just trying to put that code together. Now, again, I did talk. The first call I made was to a neurologist. It's like, hey, well, what's up with this? They're kind of mentioning a bracelet. Now they're mentioning decoding brain waves. He says you could for sure get motions and stuff like that, controlling what they were talking about, like brain waves, with their bracelet. And but he said he wasn't sure how you could get images off that. So there must be something else involved there. And I just don't see. Now, this is something they're playing with, not released to the public. This is in-house. And when they do release that, what all can you do with that? That's why we're bringing up medical devices right now, because there are so many things, so many scans, so many things you can do with just looking at what the brain's thinking. That how do you even avoid that? Like when Meta came out with their Quest glasses, Zuckerberg even said, hey, I think it's going to be mostly for gaming. There might be some working out here and there, but working out went through the roof more than he ever imagined. And I think it's going to end up being the same thing with this.
Yeah, between the goggles, they obviously have a medical use case.
Mm-hmm.
And a wristwatch or a wrist device that also has a medical use case. Like, it just seems like an obvious win.
Yeah. Just Scott says he's ready for the 90 dip buy. You have to rewind it a year for that. I told you guys to buy the dip at 90 last time. I don't think it's happening this time. Fortunately, that train has left the station. Yeah, Cody, I will look it forward, but I want to get people caught up on. So this is the video where they talk about this. So AI, OpenAI leaving. This is the scary Microsoft AI product. Now, this is the AI Grid. He puts out a lot of AI news. Now, this is the device someone is wearing in-house. They're testing. This is the image shown. So someone viewed this image for 1 second, and picking up the brainwaves from this image, that's the decoded output. And you can see here, now this is slowed down to 1/4 of the speed. And so that's what we're talking about when it comes to this. If you haven't heard about this new device Meta's working on. And before anyone says that looks nothing like a leopard, they're getting an animal with spots. Think of everything you could be thinking of, everything that's yellow, brown, green, everything that could be that. And they came up with that. That's already closer than anything. And for everybody making fun of it, remember, this was the first AI video we had, text to video, Will Smith eating spaghetti. And then all of a sudden, Sora came out. Okay? As soon as they make that jump, over with. I think we are, it'll be too late at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, I'm not sharing my screen. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me, we'll share this tab. That's what I was looking at right now. I forgot with this software, I have to click each time I open up a window. This was the animal. Okay. We can rewind that just a tad. Okay, so again, here's the image being shown. You get to view it for 1 second. This is the decoded output. You viewed that for 1 second. Now your brain's thinking about it. This is what's coming on, or what the bracelet or device is picking up. And again, played at 1/4 the speed, not sped up like all the other AI videos we've seen to try to impress people. So even if you don't know what this is, obviously a vision test, you're still getting the blacks. You're still getting a lot of similarities that I think are mind-blowing. And here's the Will Smith eating spaghetti. Here's Sora. Okay, I think Meta is about to make this jump. Right now, I think they're in this stage, and it's going to be ridiculous, which is why after seeing that, I went ahead and sold a 490 put, because I was nervous I wouldn't even get the shares. I'm not even worried about my strike price on this one.
I mean, think about it. This is mind reading.
Did I not share all the tabs instead? Jesus, did I do it again?
But I mean, this is mind reading. I mean, this is crazy stuff.
Yeah, I think it's going to be absolutely insane.
432. Come on down.
Yeah. Will Smith eating spaghetti. At one point, he's got his whole forearm down his mouth. And then you got Sora. Just, hey, show me a litter of golden retrievers. And again, I think Meta's right here. Meta's right here with that device.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's what
we're
we're seeing right
basically
here.
we're basically at the release of the iPhone, right? This is the beta version of what's going on.
Hmm. Yeah, same with I think the goggles in general. iPhone 1, and you basically have everybody that's saying those goggles aren't going to take off. I think are like they're in Sprint shoes. Sprint said the smartphone's not going to take off at all, and they put all their money in the walkie-talkie. And Sprint's no longer here right now for that very reason. That was their one pivotal moment that could have saved them, but they didn't, and that's why AT&T or Singular at the time, strictly got the iPhone. And they absolutely killed it and became a powerhouse.
Yep.
So Meta right now is below 1 standard deviation. Let me grab what 2 standard deviations is to see if we do get that meltdown to it. All right, Meta 2 standard deviations puts it at 391.21. Oh wow,
What's
that
Google
would be
doing?
phenomenal. There we go.
Google's down 2.6% as well.
Yeah, Meta was going to move Google, but I'm curious what the numbers were. Google's earnings is tomorrow, but a lot of ad revenue. Microsoft. I am destroying this. Meta and Google are in the same sector, right? They both just make a whole lot of money off advertising revenue. Right now, Meta's not talking about their goggles. They're probably talking about ad revenue and stuff like that. So you're seeing Google move with it. Today was your cheap version for Google earnings. So tomorrow will actually be Microsoft and Google's announcement. So see if they save it. If they announce something along the lines, then this is pretty much already done. So it kind of gives you I don't want to say an easy or a safer bet, but if there's going to be a surprise to the upside, at least you bought it on the dip. But Google and Meta are going. They're in both of our, I think, top 5.
Yeah,
Both of our top 5.
Yeah.
Meta should be your number 1. I don't know what to tell you if it's not. But I will say before we look at Ford. Gosh, there's something I was going to say to that. TikTok news. Google and Meta are one of the top few. So Biden says TikTok, if it's going to remain in the United States, has to be sold to a United States company. And I do have a couple of those companies. Okay, Biden says it can only stay with the United States if China's owner agrees to sell it to a company based in the United States. Foremost prominent buyers are Amazon, Facebook, Google, and Disney. Hopefully Disney doesn't buy it because I can just see the woke crowd going in on that. That would be nuts. And honestly, I'm not a fan of Disney just for that. I was surprised to see Amazon out there. How do you feel about Amazon buying TikTok?
I don't see the. I don't see how they would combine together. Like they're in such different markets.
Yeah, but maybe that's their foothold.
Is that their entry?
Yeah.
Is that their entry into the social media market?
I wonder. I really hope Meta buys it. Just why not? Why not get into that and just really hang with Google? TikTok's algorithm is absolutely crazy. Shopping on TikTok is huge. See, I hear a lot of people say that. People tell me like, "Oh, that there's deals going on." I have a couple other YouTube channels, and people will say, "Hey, if you want to get this, there's a deal going on TikTok." It's like they're telling me about a Costco deal. I'm like, that always just seems weird to me. It's like, nah. I've bought stuff off of TikTok, but it's like some live streamers. I like to support them. And so far, everything I've bought is overpriced. I do it more for the support than anything else. Basically, a donation.
Would antitrust come into play if Meta was trying to buy TikTok?
I don't know why. Why would it? I mean, I see why, but let's dive into that a little bit more, because how would that even compare with Google, who has YouTube? I feel like there's your argument right there. Google already has a lot. Meta has Reels, but it's not.
Yeah.
Are you on Facebook or Instagram? I guess you are seeing random stuff. I say mostly if you're on Facebook, you're looking at someone's stories. It's someone you're friends with, where if they could borrow that algorithm, if Meta could buy it and just all of a sudden have their own version,
Yeah.
I think that could be
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
Dom says they could link it right into Amazon. They could, and that wouldn't really be groundbreaking for Amazon because that's normal stuff for them. That would just be one more thing. I don't know. Would you be bullish? Which one would you be more bullish on, or would you buy it strictly off the fact that they bought TikTok? How would you take that news? Meta, Google, Amazon.
Which one would I be more bullish on?
Yeah, or would you be bullish in general? Like if you're in Google, you hear that news, what are you thinking?
Oh, I mean, it's definitely going to increase the revenue stream immediately. Whoever buys them is going to see a windfall.
Think so?
Yeah, because I mean, they're going to be forced to sell it at a much cheaper price than what they could, if it was a public company.
Yeah. Infinitely Finite says, just wait until China responds to the TikTok news and says, okay, you have to sell Apple and Tesla to a Chinese company if you want to stay in China.
Yeah.
I could see that with Apple, but Tesla, there's Tesla China and there's Tesla United States. We're not importing from China to the United States. So you're not going to find a Tesla over here made in China.
Right.
Meta would buy TikTok just to eliminate the competition. Yeah, I mean, Google could. For some reason, I don't think they've been able to crack just the algorithm TikTok has. Maybe it was just the first player advantage. How hard could it be to figure out? But there's a lot of talk about that. All right, are you in Ford at all?
I'm not.
Ford, I don't know if their numbers are out yet, but Ford just went zone to zone on earnings. Just yellow box to yellow box. If it's above 13 by the end of this week, I will be out. Out like shout. After 10 years of having this thing for weekly income, I will be out because that's how much AI stuff I'm buying. Yeah. This will be the last. I mean, my top 2 dividend stocks right now are Meta and NVIDIA, and I'm just going to buy more of them.
How long have you been in Ford? 10 years?
Yeah. Ford's been an amazing. Well, it's because all it does is snowball. Yeah. Its options are liquid. It doesn't really move much outside of like 2021. It stays sideways. And ask most of the people that are in the group that finally like whatever, let me do it. They get into Ford. It checks all the boxes. Options are liquid. It's cheap. It doesn't move fast. Cheap is in your barrier to entry because they have 7 trillion shares out there. Blue chip. It literally checks all the boxes. You get a dividend, and then you can collect a weekly dividend by selling calls against it, and you take that money and buy more Ford, and it snowballs into a ridiculous amount. Right. And that's all I've done is just take the premium and buy more. Occasionally, I sell puts when it's at the lower end because it loves to go sideways on these waves. So I'll sell puts. I'll grab some more shares, and it just keeps going. It's been one of the best ones.
If you were starting out, would you still recommend Ford? Like if you had a small account, would you still do that, or just wait for one of these AI plays?
It depends on your level of experience. Ford still checks all those boxes. Right. I am this close to going out on the street and asking for money because I just need more money to buy more Meta, more Tesla. I mean, I am doing everything legally that I can to just get all the dollars that I can. But let's say you don't care about that, you're unbiased. Ford still checks all those boxes. If you wanted to bite off a little bit more volatility, maybe go a little bit on the speculative side, Palantir is going to be your next runner-up. Okay. Close to the same, almost double the price, but close. Options are still liquid, but doesn't pay a dividend. But you still got some movement, still things to do.
So what you're saying is you need a GoFundMe page, just to fund your Meta and Tesla habit.
Yeah. If I could sell one of my kidneys on the black market, you put me at the right number, 100%. I got 2 of them. Let's go.
Well, and AI is going to be able to replace it, in the future anyway.
Yeah, replace Ford?
No, replace your kidney.
Oh, yeah, I'm good. If I don't even like you and I know your blood type, you might end up on the black market with some organs. I haven't gone to that level yet, but the thoughts cross my mind, like, I hear there's a pretty healthy black market for kidneys out there. So I'm thinking if I can get a hold of someone, I got a general idea where they're at. So my process probably will be a little bit more sloppy. But hey, we got YouTube. Sorry for the lack of anesthetics, but bite the pillow. Going in. Mike says calls on kidneys. Yeah, if I had to go that route, it's not just kidneys. You have people donate intestines, don't they? You got 15 feet of that inside you. That sounds like some overhead. I could get a pretty decent chunk.
People don't donate. People don't donate intestines, do they?
I don't know, but I'm gonna find out. Maybe on the black market they just might. You got a couple of lungs. I do know people do that. Yeah, there's a lot I can do. You got a lot of kidneys. Got a whole baggage of things inside you that I can probably figure out. Imagine Huawei being sold to General Electric, Tesla, or AT&T. Same concept as TikTok. Yeah, I will say this whole debacle, it's been brought up about 1 million times before. This particular time with TikTok, though, there was something in the verbiage that just made me think this time actually might be for real. Oh, the other times you've heard me come on YouTube and just say, nah, probably not happening. This time I'm very curious if it does so.
I think it might. I think there's a 90% chance that it's going to be forced to be sold to an American company.
What are the repercussions? Does China fire back and say something like "Good luck with your Apple sales"?
Man, I have no idea.
Maybe we should open up that factory over here a little bit sooner.
Yeah, I actually don't know what China could do other than, I mean, they don't really import stuff from us. They're not going to want to cut off their revenue stream because we buy everything they make.
Yeah, that's what's difficult because we are so intertwined with each other.
Yeah.
Is there ever just one domino, or does it just kind of sputter out? Like there's a little bit of riffraff, but then we eventually just move on.
I think there'd be some posturing at first, but then eventually I think it would be a big nothing. It would be, a lot of bluster, and then it would go away.
I wonder what they're doing. Checking what ties they have inside Meta. Putting the feelers out for Zuck. Hey, how'd you feel about our economy? How do you feel about that? Seeing who's on the weak side in there. Andrew says, I thought they said they wouldn't sell. They've said that every time. I'm sure they're saying it now. We've already blocked them from government phones, government devices. So do we just expand that?
Yeah.
And then what? Do VPNs get held accountable? If I'm on a VPN and then it says I'm in Europe and I just hop on TikTok, is the VPN accountable for that? And
No.
do they take it that far, or?
Yeah, I guess people would be installing a lot of VPNs. I don't know. What do you think? It's 431.50. What's the poll by tomorrow? What's it going to be at tomorrow at open?
Oh gosh. I gotta say, I'm gonna have to give it to the gap fill people for now. I mock a lot of gap fills. I really do. But that's going to be a strong support. I mean, the last earnings is what sent us to that. And you can see this blue line, guys. We are actually right here. I'll make it blue. When I go to the daily, it doesn't show after hours. That's where Meta price is at. So last earnings gapped it, sent it up. And the bulls looked around and said, who wants some? Who's next? We're taking names. We got plenty of time. Not a single bear showed up to that account. Maybe a little stuffed Winnie the Pooh showed up. And it's held very nicely until then. It's been on an absolute ridiculous rampage and run from the last time it was at $90. So pulling all the way back down to 400 in general, I think would still just be a phenomenal dip buy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want to speak that into existence. I mean, I certainly don't have an account big enough to do that. The one thing I think makes it hard for Meta is retail is not very smart. They're kind of dumb. And I say that because Meta is mostly institutionally owned. Retail's not really on to Meta. They think it's something for boomers. Like they're just completely blind to how much Meta makes. That's the only thing I can come up with as to why retail doesn't own as much Meta. Like they'll be, I get Tesla, I get all that. They can be all in this crazy story, but Meta, obviously I own more Meta than I do Apple. But if you think you want to buy something innovative, you want to buy something that just makes money, I have 15 more arguments why you should buy Meta over Apple.
Well, and I'll say it's a true AI play, right? They have their own generative AI chatbot. They got Llama 3, right?
Right.
Apple, as we've talked about, is doing nothing, or at least visually. I know there's been some rumors about what they're doing with Siri, but man, if Apple doesn't get on the ball soon, they're going to be left behind big time.
Yeah. I'm worried now that when they come out and say something, it's going to be like someone drowning in waves. They're going to pop up real quick, catch a breath of air, and then be right back under because someone's going to be like, cool story. We're on version 4 of whatever you just announced.
Yeah.
If they come out and Siri 2.0 can hang with Chat GPT version 2, good luck. It comes out looking like, was it Bruce? What was Google's first name?
Oh, it's Gemini. It's Gemini now.
Yeah.
Bard.
Yeah. If they come out and mess up like Bard, I'll probably just sell all my Apple shares. Like, all right, I'm just done. Let me know when there's a real CEO that can run the company and bring some innovation back. At that point, I'd rather say Roku is more innovative than Apple.
So here's my fear. Apple has historically liked to release things that are what they would consider perfect, right? Like they don't like their OS, like everything just works really well, and they don't want to get a PR hit for having something that's broken. That's not going to be able to work with something like an LLM because there is no perfection. There is only a starting point, and it gets better from there. Right. If they're trying to wait until they can what they call it perfected, they're never going to release anything, and that's what scares me about Apple.
Either your phone randomly wakes you up with a text that says, "Hello, my name's Siri," and it is a super intelligence because they finally figured it out. Yeah, that's it. Otherwise, we're going down the path you're talking about. Like it's just hanging out. At that point, I'd say Meta is the better play.
Yeah. I did move Meta up above my Apple, so you should be happy about that.
You did what with your Apple position?
I moved Meta up in my priority of purchasing above Apple.
That's like saying a third grader knows the alphabet now.
Come on, man.
Yeah, you could have had that in kindergarten.
Come on, man. That's progress. It's progress.
It's progress. You're still on that short bus, but it's progress. Hopefully it's no secret. If you've watched probably 3 minutes of any of my videos, you know how bullish I am Meta. It's hard not to talk about it, and why not? Other than that dip where it went down to 90, that was not fun watching my investment account. But too many reasons to be in Meta.
Yeah.
Steve does bring up a good point. He says not a lot of TikTok users are going to put in a VPN. True, especially if it's kids or anything like that.
Yeah.
Cody says, I can tell Mike rides the bus with the elevator on the side.
Damn, Cody.
Just now going above Apple. Yeah, I mean, these are, unfortunately, these are, I don't want to say deserved. What is it? Brought on? You did this to yourself.
Appreciate that.
I mean, Zuck is clearly saying, hey, I see you're on Team Don Fran. Let me give you a proper dip buy. And he's reaching out,
Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
He felt sorry for me.
He actually just shot me a text. And I said, I'll let him know. He says, what's going on with Meta? Meta's giving you guys one last opportunity. We're about to hit that 625, and then it's over with.
625.
625 EMA.
Oh. The EMA. Okay.
Yeah. Look what happened last time we got even close. Full send. As soon as we broke above the 625 EMA at 151, been up since then.
How long ago was that?
It's been bullish since February of 23.
Wow. Okay.
It's been a super hard one to have in your investment account. Every morning you wake up and you're just up more, and you're like, oh, what do I do now? Just richer. He says, so this is a good time, I presume, to really watch Meta and try to use this as a big potential dip buy. Oh, man. So you guys know the normal disclaimer, right? I can't give you financial advice. You do whatever you want. This thing could go to 90. I forgot who said it, but sure. What if he was right? I guess we'd all be subscribed to his YouTube channel watching his videos.
So if you want to buy, you can do like what I do, which is I'm going to buy a couple shares if it reaches to a certain level where now I'm going to buy in at 425. And if it continues to drop lower, I will buy more. That way your dollar cost averaging down. I invest, right? This is not a trade. I am going to be holding this for 5-10 years. I'll buy as it continues to drop. So that way, at least I'm in if it does turn around. And my plan is to buy more if it does continue to go down. So that's how I would tell anyone to do it, because that's not financial advice. I'm just a schmo doing it myself.
So to answer that question, you really just want to have a plan. Because here's what happens. Dave Ramsey says all the time, life just kicks you in the nuts. You don't know what's happening. Let's say you do put some money in right now. You buy it at 430. A couple months later, a few months later, we're in a recession. This thing's at $200. Okay, but you bought it planned for 5 years. Cool. You're good on the stock end. But then life happened, and you're forced to sell. You need some cash, and now you're going to sell half off. When it recovers, you're just going to lose so much. You don't have the ability to ride it back up. It's kind of like when people ask me, like, hey, should I buy a house? House prices are up, or they're down, or they're this or that. And ultimately, it's buy what you can afford, no matter what life throws at you. So you're not making emotional mistakes. You're over allocated into this. You'll be too stressed, losing sleep. You will make an emotional decision and probably sell it when I'm back here on YouTube saying I'm whole accounting this thing. You'll sell me your shares. A few months later, I'll be talking about how much money I made, and you'll just be sitting there watching like, well, I sold at the bottom. And what you want to do is avoid any of that. So get your plan, your timeline, and then every plan has that line in the sand of, hey, if it breaks this level, I got to say I'm out. And until we hit that level, I'm in. Thick or thin, through sickness and in health, you say your vows. That's just kind of where I would be at on this one. And now, personally, in 5 years, there is not a absolute chance in my mind Meta will be below this, or even where we're at. Otherwise, I would just put all my money in SPY. If again, it's all about efficiency of capital. And if I'm just going to do all this trading or investing and I'm going to hang with the S&P, I would rather throw all of it out, buy the S&P, and spend my time doing something else. Mm-hmm. But because I think it's going to beat that just hand over fist, personally, I do like the dip buys on Meta.
Yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm. But if it goes to 90, I'm going to be at Zuck's door. I bought a lot at 90. It wasn't healthy watching it drop to that. That sucked. But the amount I have now watching it, I am well past. Like I'm up like right. This is where I got back into the profit, and then on top of that, so
that's nice.
And if you put yourself in a bull's position, I'm my money's down here. Does this pullback hurt? Like I'm watching a number go up and down on my screen, but big deal. And this is one earnings. I plan on holding this through many more. It's kind of like when people say like, "Oh, I don't want to buy right now. It's pre-market," but they're telling me they're about to get on a swing trade and be in on the daily. Who cares if it's pre-market, after hours? You're just not going to hold through any of the other pre-market after hours. Like put all that in the plan, so there's no surprises later. I can answer every question about this position before I ever click the buy button. If you're in that position, it's a much better spot to be in. If it goes to 90, I'll be living in Don's camper. Yeah, I'll probably need someone to help clean at that point. All my houses will be Airbnbs while tenants and myself live in them. Yeah, come on in. There's room. There's room over here. Don't forget to X out of the chat and click the thumbs up. Yeah, that would be greatly appreciated. If you're watching it live, you have to click X and then click thumbs up. But I'm curious to everyone's thoughts on Meta. And as far as Snookeroo says, just keep buying the dips. You want to do it. There's smart ways to buy the dips. You can just buy the same amount every week, dollar cost average, and that's a very crappy way to buy things. Like what Mike says. There's Mike's way of doing things. There's my way of doing things. Both of which are far better than just let me throw some money at some shares randomly. He has specific targets, and he buys it. At this target 1, I'm going to buy 1 share. Target 2, I'm buying 2 shares, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so on. And it keeps your average way down. Because if you just keep buying 1 share at a time, your average doesn't move. You just kind of own a little bit more, and it gets smaller and smaller as it builds. It's not bad, but there's just much more efficient ways of doing things. Personally, I like to, whatever I'm buying automatically, like Bitcoin. So I buy $200 of Bitcoin every week. $200 goes into my savings account every week. And then when it dips, I dump the savings account in. When it dips to levels that I like, that's when I dump it in. And it keeps my average very well down. And I've been meaning to go over that on a stream because someone commented the other day, Mike, when you went over your buy targets, I think for had to be Tesla. They said Don must be losing his mind on this guy's strategy because it sounds like as a trader, sounds a whole lot of just like, let me just double down for the sake of it. But for any kind of timeline, any not an actual just trade, let me in and out, take advantage of just some short-term movements. That is a smarter way of doing things.
Yeah, I think something that to put it in perspective too, right? Those price targets are dependent that the thesis hasn't changed of the underlying company, right? I mean, right. If Elon just announced, all right, we're stopping the Optimus, we're gonna quit worrying about the charging network and go strictly with cars, I'd be selling all the Tesla I could. I would.
Would you sell Tesla or buy all the puts first?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if my fingers could move fast enough. I would just be clicking on the options chain, just clicking on the ask, just buying the puts that I could afford.
Yeah. I mean, the buy prices that I have are based on the thesis not changing. So I mean, that's rule number 1.
We haven't even gone over the numbers of Meta, so it must have been a guidance thing. We're all here scratching our heads. Okay, so estimated 4.32. The report 4.71. Got a nice little beat. Then revenue estimated 36.143 billion. Chump change. Now they beat barely by 300 million. 300 million for Tesla or for Meta. For me, is like just $20. That's nothing for that company. So I wonder if that's why. I wonder if we had a little bit, maybe we bit off more than we could chew as far as expectations go.
Yeah.
Maybe we expected a real beatdown. Didn't quite get it because it came in and we did well, but more flatline. And we are seeing this with some other earnings as well. As hey, you did good, but not that good. Kind of like when Tesla used to do that was, yeah, you broke records, but we wanted your record to be this, not that. You did 98,000. We expected you to do 100,000. I know it's never been done before. We expected you to do it.
Yeah.
So I obviously haven't looked any of this up. So if anyone in the chat could help me out, what's up with Meta's guidance? What'd they say? Obviously, it was something. What's that?
What time's the call? Do you know?
Probably when my phone rings. He'll probably call me about 8 minutes. I'll tell them which way to move it. Hey, I got enough. Appreciate you. Who else had earnings today? I think Meta and Ford were really just the only two that probably have anything. Ford's killing all the puts and calls. So just, again, zone to zone, hung out. I need to stay above 13 because I just need more capital. I'm about to go into some 0 days. You're about to see me test that theory out real quick. So much that I will move the market myself. I'm going to have to call up the market maker and say, get ready. You're going to be hedging. You'll be hedging a lot. Oh, IBM and Chipotle had earnings, huh? Now, IBM is in my investment account. It is hitting a monthly zone. It is hitting the 625. And if you are new here, I'm telling you, 625 is where it's at. Okay? There's a reason it's on the chart. There's a reason I've made fun of all your indicators, but this one's on the chart. Okay? Don't sleep on that one. Anyway. Dip buy? I don't know. Zone buy. You got a zone, a dip, the 625. You got the daily zone, the monthly zone. There's a lot of buyers that could be hanging out here in IBM. IBM, I wasn't aware until pretty recently when I bought it. Now I'm up very much. But I didn't realize this was an AI play. They're going in on the AI. They're brushing off the dinosaur fossils, and they're going in on AI. What do you think about that?
Yeah, they've been in AI they've been in for a while. It's just been kind of a hidden gem, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had Watson, and I don't know what the next version of whatever they're doing is called, but they've been developing it for quite some time. So it's not my top 10, but I do want some IBM.
Yeah, it's not my top 10 either, but it is in there. I do have some. Not in my top 10 because I hate when I say it's not in my top 10 like that means anything for this. It's just the other ones I know way more about. I'm more comfortable holding it. It did just fill one of these gaps. Where we at? We're right here. Okay, so we filled this gap. Okay, so we're going to fill this gap. But then do we fill this gap down here? Gosh, we got another gap over here at the 103. Got another gap over here at 92. Speaking of gaps, if all gaps must fill, let's check them out. Let's mark a few for Meta. I'm not liking what I see here. Okay, Meta's right here. All right, so we haven't filled this gap ever, the 212. Now, we haven't filled this gap either at 150. This is a really awkward gap as well because it's all the way down here at 90. Now, that's going to suck. But if you're really devoted to gaps filling, are you about to get the dip buy of your life when this one fills at $26? Rest in peace, Zuckerberg. Because I feel like that's one of those where you get suicided if it gets that low. I'm not gonna say it that loud on YouTube. I feel like that's where you get in trouble.
Yeah, don't get kicked off again.
Well, at least I'd have a reason this time. All right, let's go. CPG, is it? CPG, is that Chipotle? CMG. Sorry, guys. There's only 6,000 tickers. I'll try to know all of them next time. Gap filled to $2,800. Nope, not going to fill it today.
Nope.
What they announced? Their food's still great. They brought the chicken El Pastor back, and I've been eating a lot of it lately. So I think I'm at least 75% of this candle that they're talking about.
I may have to go have Chipotle tonight, actually.
Get the new chicken. Absolutely amazing.
Is it?
Yeah. And to be honest, I've had the same thing ever since I went to Chipotle. Sometimes I switch it up and I do half and half steak and chicken. Other than that, it's just chicken. But I went there for the first time, and I've had it ever since then. The exact same thing. That's how boring I am.
Can you eat the same thing every day?
I do. Yeah, it's a lot easier because you cook it all on Sunday and then you just eat the same thing. Dinner I'll switch up, but if you want to call it breakfast, I do fast for a little bit, but I have a lunch around lunchtime, which is typically when I'm eating breakfast. Around snack time is when I'm eating probably my lunch food, and then dinner I'll switch it up. But breakfast and lunch are the same every day.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, somebody had a line. It used to really suck. So when I was into bodybuilding, it sucked. I had a meal plan. It was 12 eggs for breakfast.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was nuts. I could never get past nine eggs. Still ate every day. I had more chicken and broccoli with my 1 cup of rice that I could. I'll never eat that again because that sucks. Um, but I read this book and it was eat to live, not live to eat. And they were talking about that's the problems with Americans. We live off of food. We live to eat, not eat to live. And then after that, I was like, that does make sense. People do obsess. It'd be a whole lot easier if I didn't have to pick what I was eating if I just ate the same thing every day and it had everything I needed. I didn't quite take it to the Matrix level where I ate the same like white goop every day. But not far. Breakfast is eggs and hamburger, which is boring. You guys would hate what I eat because there's salt and pepper. That's it. Fasting for robots is what non-robots call sleeping.
I don't know if I'm going to get my 425 today. Maybe tomorrow.
And Chipotle?
No, on Meta.
Meta's got the reverse. Meta's got the split to get the 425. I think the fireworks are done. We're holding right here at the expected move.
Yeah.
So we'd have to really come in and say something ridiculous to send it. And I would be surprised. Now, Elon came out and had some good things to say, which surprised everyone to the upside. But I would be surprised if Zuck were to come out and pull an Elon just on his horse tranquilizers, talking about the end of the world and bunker down. So I think the fireworks are done. I wouldn't say it's going to shoot back up, but I don't think the call is going to press it any worse. I think the damage has been done.
Okay, so is it continue down tomorrow, or is it going to rally a little bit?
I would look for a dead cat bounce. What I would worry about is a bounce into that zone, this 460 zone, and then all that's going to create is just that bear flag.
Okay.
Let's see. Am I still bullish Bitcoin? Probably not going to change. Ask me that when it's at like 500 grand a coin. Other than that, I don't care. Yep, buying. Bitcoin, crypto, still in its infancy stage. So these short-term fluctuations that get the YouTubers all hyped up, when your stock guru all of a sudden becomes a crypto guru, I don't really care too much for those.
Yeah, it's just been going sideways for the last 7-8 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, it's been hanging out.
I think it's just going sideways and getting ready for the next push up.
Yeah, and that's a characteristic of Bitcoin. I will say I do kind of like this trend line down here. If we hit that again, not saying it will or when, but I hate. Not to say I hate talking about Bitcoin because I buy it no matter what. So I get to share with everybody when I'm talking about how I'm up. But to that token, it's not. You say it's not a loss till you lock it in. That's the biggest load of crap I've ever heard on YouTube. But it for sure is not a gain until you lock it in. And that's it. Point being, if it's a loss and you haven't locked in, if you go to lock it, you can't just call your broker and say, hey, can I get a refund? Like that loss is there whether you locked it in or not. But when it comes to gains, that thing is still moving, very much still active. So I can talk about how much I'm up and I can watch that disappear tomorrow and just look like an idiot. So yeah, I'm definitely in the camp of I'm going to be in this for a few years and it'll be well into its 6 digits, not 100 grand, but much higher.
Yeah.
And if not, again, gas station money, same money I put into a gas tank and burn away. And I've never looked back and said, where's all my money I put into the gas? No matter what politics get involved, doesn't matter who's the president. Gas goes up, down. I just still got to fill up. That's just how I buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, makes sense.
What about you?
I do. I buy it weekly.
Okay. But we're not talking about Meta anymore. I'm talking about Bitcoin.
That's what I'm talking about.
He's still broken. Kareem says, is it time to buy Meta calls tomorrow or wait for 3 days? I would let the dust settle. The only thing you're going to jump in right now is into a fire. You might do really well. Might come out a hero. You might just barbecue yourself. We just had an announcement. It shot down. Making a knee-jerk reaction is something a lot of traders will make. But I would be careful doing so. If I were to play that game, it would be a risk and capital kind of play. I'm going to play the dead cat bounce, and that's assuming we open up right here. If a lot of this move recovers and we kind of open up higher than where we are now, I'd be really questioning that. If I'm going to catch the knife, I do like buying a bright red candle. I don't like seeing a wick halfway up and then jumping in.
Yeah.
Either we're going in or we're not. And I like to be right or wrong in the next 5 seconds. Do I recommend buying Bitcoin on Robinhood? No one's convinced me not to. There's no fees. I've had people pay me on Robinhood just like they would PayPal. I think it's a great wallet.
That's where I buy my Bitcoin.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to hit my GoFundMe up, let me know. You can send me Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin's up. If you want to lock it in, you just send it to me. I can tell you a cool story about where your money went, or you can just say it was a donation. But I need more Meta. Let's take one last look at Meta real quick. Just see where we're at before we drop this. Yeah, hanging out. We went right to the expected move and hung out. I would say more than likely your fireworks are done. There is a small percent chance, this is a number I make up in my head just from my own experience. I think 80% chance we kind of hang out in this range, 20% chance we send it down here to that 391. Numbers wise, I am more right than wrong when I talk about we rein it in, but that 20% is a lot bigger than you think when we do send it. So you might think buy puts won't be cheap. But I would watch out for that last little bit of a landslide. But if it hits sub 400, right now I have enough. I sold the 490s, collected $2,500 for that. But if it does get below 400, I'm gonna have another buy order in. And I assume it'll be your number one position at that point.
Not for a while.
Like what, Thursday? Friday? All right. Let's
One of the days.
Yeah, I'm thinking Friday. All right, let's wrap it up here. Everyone, let me know what you think in the comments down below on all of them. I'm actually streaming on everything right now, maybe even Twitter. We're on the Power Zone, Don Fran Show, Don Fran Trading. Had to do this with Mike on Don Fran Show because it is an AI play. It's one he will be buying a lot of. I think he's just being modest. Further live streams, again, Don Fran Trading. Further AI stuff, you got Mike here. We'll be on Don Fran Show. So make sure you're subscribed. Everything. We will see you all later. Have a good one.
See ya.